Good morning. We're back in the library, and I've been outside working, so my hair looks crazy today. But we're going to talk about a book. Before we talk about this book, I want to talk about books in general, because somebody raised a good question. They said, are you recommending all of these books? Listen, I recommend reading. I do. I powerfully recommend reading. Not reading and scrolling, but reading books. Or at the very least, reading nice, long magazine articles, long enough for people to unpack important stories. Even if I disagree with a book, even if I find it to have things in it that I don't care for, sometimes I find redeeming things in the way the stories are told or the way the research is done. So I recommend reading, all right? Now, today's book is called Too Soon Owed, Too Late Smart. What a title. By Gordon Livingston. But let's begin with Mark Twain. Mark Twain died in 1910. He was born in 1835. Mark Twain had a certain amount of wit and insight into his writing that few people have been able to duplicate since. If Mark Twain had been a psychiatrist, he would have been Gordon Livingston. I mean, Gordon has a great command of the English language and great insight into the human condition, and he knows how to put it briefly. I mean, it's not a very long book. Look at this. But it's the perfect title. Too Soon Owed, Too Late Smart. That even sounds like a Mark Twain quote. 30 true things you need to know now. I think the title should have been, or the subtitle should have been, 30 things that you should have known years ago. I'm not going to read, I will read from one chapter of the book, but mostly I want to read to you the titles of the chapters. Gordon is a psychiatrist. He was trained at West Point, served in the U.S. military, received the Bronze Star for his service in Vietnam, and has been a medical doctor for his career, practicing psychiatry. And his insights into the human condition and understanding of mental illness and mental health concerns is extraordinary. Here are some of the titles to the chapters. We are what we do. Listen to this one. It is difficult to remove by logic an idea not placed there by logic in the first place. Think about every argument you ever had with your 10-year-old. It is difficult to remove by logic an idea not placed there by logic in the first place. I wish I'd had this book years ago. The statute of limitations has expired on most of our childhood traumas. Any relationship is under the control of the person who cares the least. Marinate on that. Any relationship is under the control of the person who cares the least. That's true. It is so true. Think about marriage. Think about in-law relationships. Think about sibling relationships. Any relationship is under the control of the person who cares the least. Maybe you wish it wasn't that way, but that's the way it is. And that's what you can expect from Gordon, is a lot of dosing of reality, of the way the world really is. Feelings follow behavior. The perfect is the enemy of the good. The most secure prisons are those we construct for ourselves. I think the group, the Eagles, said that first. Only bad things happen quickly. That is so true. There is nothing more pointless or common than doing the same thing and expecting different results. That is so true. It is a poor idea to lie to yourself. I mean, think about how wise that is. We think about lying to other people as detrimental. But the worst person in the world to lie to is ourselves. Nobody likes to be told what to do. That is a great chapter. I mean, it is so true. We knew that, right? You knew that before I spoke it. But when you read his chapter, nobody likes to be told what to do. Okay, how does that work with an 8-year-old? How does that work with a spouse? How does that work with a spouse in crisis? How does that work with an aging parent or an aging sibling that needs to go to some sort of assisting living place? Of all the forms of courage, the ability to laugh is the most profoundly therapeutic. Again, Gordon doesn't do anything but just speak the truth. And that's what makes it so sharp and so wise, is that a lot of these are things that we already know. We just did not have a sentence to put it in. And he puts it in that sentence. He explains it for us very briefly. Now I'm going to read a little bit here. Mistakes are a consequence of being human and constitute an essential element of trial and error learning. Some errors are more consequential than others. Few are irredeemable. What is frustrating is the experience of making the same mistake repeatedly. This phenomenon, especially evident in the way people choose others with whom to be intimate. Someone has suggested that second marriages represent the triumph of hope over experience. One might intuitively expect that the lessons learned in the first marriage would make the selection process for the second marriage more informed. Alas, the failure rate in second marriages exceeds even the 50% rate that characterizes the first. The reality behind these numbers is that we tend to be the same people, philosophically and behaviorally, at 40 that we were at 20. This doesn't mean we have learned nothing in the intervening years. In fact, most people complete their education in this time and become more successful occupationally. We just haven't gained equivalent insight into who we are and why we choose the people we do. In other words, we'll choose the second spouse just like the first spouse. And there's nothing more pointless or common than doing the same thing and expecting different results. It's not like he just says, woe to you who do this. There's no way you can not do this. You're going to do this, so just go ahead and do it. No, it's a cautionary tale to remind us that this is true. This is the way we act most of the time. But if we can pause, and if we can think, and if we can reset the pins a bit, then we can make better decisions. And that's what a lot of the book is about. So it's a psychiatrist meets Mark Twain who writes a book that's very brief. Good luck. Too soon old, too late smart. Enjoy it.